Welcome back to the Life Change Podcast. Today I want to talk to you about something simple but incredibly powerful. Something that doesn't always get celebrated in our world. Not talent, not intelligence, not luck. I want to talk about consistency. Not the flashy kind, not the overnight success stories, but the quiet, daily decision to keep going. The quiet power of showing up again and again and again. Because the truth is this: the biggest transformations in life are not built in one big moment. They are built in the small moments repeated every day. We live in a world that celebrates dramatic breakthroughs. We love the story of sudden success, the instant transformation. But what most people don't see are the thousands of quiet decisions that happened long before the breakthrough arrived. Consistency is not always exciting. Consistency is often invisible. Sometimes can feel lonely. But consistency is where change is born. So let me encourage you today. The little things you keep doing matter more than you think. When you wake up early and train your body, even when you don't feel stronger yet, something is happening. When you choose to save money or invest a little at a time, even when the account still feels small, something is happening. And when you choose to love your spouse, show patience, have difficult conversations, and invest in your relationship, even when growth feels slow, something is happening. When you keep showing up for your business, your dream, your purpose, even when the results are not visible yet, something is happening. The world sees breakthroughs, but breakthroughs are built on commitment. So, your commitment to keep going is the difference maker. It's easy to stay motivated when things are working. It's easy to stay excited when results are visible. But real growth happens when you keep showing up before the results appear. That's where discipline comes in. Now, I'm not a fan of discipline, but I know that the biggest key that I heard once, that where motivation dies, that's where discipline is born. So to understand discipline, it is not punishment. Discipline is the decision to stay faithful in the process. Your discipline to not give up is what stirs outcomes. Every workout that felt small, every dollar you saved, every difficult conversation you chose to have, every long day you kept building your business, those moments are not wasted. They are seeds. And seeds take time before they break through the soil. Many people quit because they cannot see the roots growing beneath the surface. But just because you cannot see progress does not mean that progress is not happening. So let me say that again for the person who needs to hear it today. Just because you cannot see progress does not mean progress is not happening. Growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. So let me show you this principle with a story from nature. Scientists studying the Earth discovered something fascinating about our planet's history. Over hundreds of thousands of years, the Earth has gone through multiple ice ages. Long periods where massive sheets of ice covered huge parts of the planet. Not once, not twice, but 5 major cycles of global ice ages. And here's what's fascinating. Those ice ages didn't arrive suddenly in one dramatic moment. They were triggered by tiny shifts, small variations in Earth's orbit, slight changes in sunlight, gradual adjustments in temperature, tiny changes. But repeated over long periods of time, those small shifts slowly cooled the planet until glaciers miles thick began covering the entire continent. Think about that for a moment. Tiny changes over time reshaped the entire planet. Mountains were carved, landscapes were transformed, oceans shifted, entire ecosystems changed, all because of small forces working consistently over a long period of time. And the same principle applies to our lives. Most people underestimate the power of little things. We want the big moment, the breakthrough, the transformation, but we forget that breakthroughs are usually built on thousands of quiet decisions nobody sees. Take fitness for an example. The person who becomes strong, healthy, disciplined, didn't do it with one heroic workout. I've seen people in the gym that want to put it on the heaviest weight and go as hard as they can, one time, two times, to the point where they're exhausted and they leave. And most of the time, the people working out at that level cannot sustain the momentum to keep going. So you go to the gym, you work out, you go too hard the first day, you're not going to be coming back the next day. Either your body's going to be too sore or you will not be motivated. So strong, healthy people didn't become that doing one heroic workout. They did it with hundreds. They showed up when they were tired. They showed up when motivation disappeared. They showed up when progress felt slow. One workout may not change your body, but 300 workouts will. The same is true with finances. Nobody becomes financially free because of one brilliant decision. Wealth is built through small choices, repeated over time. Choosing to save instead of spend, choosing to invest instead of ignoring the future, choosing patience over impulsiveness. One small financial decision may feel very insignificant, but thousands of them, they change the trajectory of your life. The same thing happens in relationships. Strong relationships are not built only on grand romantic gestures. If you are married and have been married for a while or in a relationship for a while, you know this to be true, that when romance disappears, you have to find what is your relationship built on. Strong relationships are built in everyday moments. The patience you show when you are frustrated, conversations you choose to have, the forgiveness you extend, the effort you put into understanding the other person, those little acts of love repeated consistently build trust and depth that lasts decades. And the same is true if you're building something, a business, a dream, a calling. Entrepreneurs often feel like they're failing in the early stages. You post content, nobody sees it. You build something and nobody buys. You work late nights and wonder if it's even worth it. But what most people will tell you is this: the breakthrough rarely comes from one moment. It comes after years of consistent effort. There's a moment in every growth journey where people get discouraged. It's the moment where effort is high, but results are still invisible. That is where most people stop. That is where most people quit. But the people who eventually succeed understand something powerful. Just because you cannot see progress does not mean progress is not happening. So before glaciers covered continents during the ice ages, the cooling of the earth was happening slowly and invisibly. No dramatic moment, just gradual change. But eventually the accumulation of those small changes reached a tipping point, and suddenly the transformation became visible. That's exactly how growth works in our lives. For months, sometimes years, it can feel like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, something is changing. Habits are forming, skills are developing, character is strengthening, your roots are growing. And then one day, what was invisible becomes undeniable. The body becomes stronger, the savings account grows, the relationship deepens, the business begins to take off. And people call it an overnight success, but you know the truth, that it wasn't overnight. It was built through consistency. Your discipline to not give up is what stirs outcomes. Not every day will feel exciting. Some days will feel repetitive. Some days are boring. Some days will make you question if the process is working at all. But discipline is choosing to stay faithful to the process anyways. The people who build extraordinary lives are not always the most talented. They're not always the smartest. Very often they are simply the people who refuse to quit. They kept showing up when others stopped. They kept building when others got discouraged. They kept believing when results were still hidden beneath the surface. So your willingness to stay at it when you don't see the change is the key that unlocks the breakthrough. So, if you are in a season right now where progress feels slow, if you're doing the workouts but the results aren't obvious yet, if you are managing your finances but the numbers still feel small, or that mountain of debt still feels insurmountable, if you're building your business and wondering, does anyone even notice? Let me encourage you today. Keep going. Keep showing up. Keep building the habits. Keep planting the seeds, because consistency compounds. Just like those tiny shifts in the Earth's climate eventually created glaciers that reshaped continents, the small decisions you make today are shaping the future version of your life. One day you will look back and realize something powerful, that the small things you did every day, the daily disciplines, the quiet persistence, those were the very things that created the breakthrough. Small steps repeated daily over time, that's how lives change. It's how businesses grow. That's how bodies transform. And that's how dreams become reality. So today, make the decision again. I will keep going, even when it's slow, even when it's difficult, even when the results are not visible yet, because consistency today becomes the breakthrough tomorrow. Thank you for listening today, and remember, the world may celebrate the breakthrough, but the breakthrough always belonged to the people who kept showing up.